Welcome back to Fantasy Football by Committee, powered by Flurry Sports. It can be tough to win a fantasy league on your own, but at FFBC, we will work together to bring home the hardware. Hosted by Zach Bruner and the rest of the Flurry Sports crew, we will give top-level analysis, answer your questions, and, well, go off on other tangents.
That was after I tried to get ChatGPT to admit that 9/11 was an inside job, but it stood firm. It gave quite a few solid points that it was true.
Welcome to Fantasy Football by Committee. The show starts in 3, 2, 1.
Hello, welcome back to Fantasy Football by Committee. I'm Zach Bruner. Luke Reimer's with me. Trevor's not feeling well, so he is just a viewer like all of you tonight, I am assuming. But this is the Wednesday ranking show. Every single Wednesday, we are here 7 p.m. Central to go over my fantasy football rankings for the week. They are in half PPR scoring because that's what Fantasy Pros grades me on. But we are just looking at the rankings, comparing them to the consensus to see who we are higher and lower on. And we answer your guys' questions like Blake's over there on YouTube right now. Blake asks, and again, fire questions away all night, can be football related or not. As you can see, new viewers, we get off topic quite a bit, so fire any away. But Blake asks, would you trade Devontae Smith and Bijan Robinson for Patrick Mahomes in an 18-2 quarterback redraft?
I guess if it's 18, he probably has those players are expendable, right?
Yeah, I would think so. Like, your team has to be stacked, and you're just looking for that top tier talent. So assuming, as long as you don't have, Hurts, Josh Allen, even Tua, somebody like that, like as long as it's a pretty sizable upgrade at quarterback, I think I'm good with it.
Agreed 100%.
Especially in 2 quarterback, obviously. Justin asks, Chase and Henry, Adams and Taylor, Dynasty. I'm guessing, which side would you want?
I think I'd rather have Chase and Henry, right?
That's interesting. I think it's close. Who would you rather have in Dynasty right now, Derrick Henry or Jonathan Taylor? Probably Taylor.
I mean, probably, right? Just for age alone.
Right, and then
produce about the same right now.
Right. And I don't know. I just don't feel like Devontae's even really near his end.
100% agree. But, I mean, it's Jamar Chase.
I know. I think it's close. I think I would side with Taylor and Adams, and maybe it's the Adams bias. But I think that's what I would do. I think it's close, though.
Mm-hmm.
But, yeah, Blake's team stacked. His quarterbacks are Justin Fields, Trevor Lawrence, Russell Wilson, Stafford. So he'd be upgrading from Lawrence essentially to Mahomes, which I like.
Love it.
Yeah, honestly, what I would do, I would accept it, but I would try to throw in one of your quarterbacks as well to get something else in return, like to make up from the loss of that running back and wide receiver. Because you don't need another quarterback, right? You don't need 6.
Right. You could probably move Lawrence or something good.
Yeah. I think so. That's what I would do. But yeah, let's just talk about quarterbacks. Then we use that as a segue. Talk about these top 5 quarterbacks in the rankings. If you're watching on YouTube, rankings are linked below. Otherwise, you can join the Fantasy Football by Committee Facebook group. Rankings are shared in there. Or you can go to flurrysports.org. Rankings and other articles are there as well. But my number 1 quarterback for the week is Jalen Hurts at Washington. I have Patrick Mahomes 2 at Denver, Lamar Jackson 3 at Arizona, Josh Allen 4 tomorrow night versus the Bucks, and Justin Herbert 5 versus the Bears. Any of those 5 stick out to you?
I think Jalen Hurts, right? Even though he's kind of banged up, it doesn't sound like anything crazy is going on with him. I do think this is a game that Philadelphia wins handily. I think they get out early. I mean, Washington's secondary hasn't been playing, as great as people would have wanted them to play. Emmanuel Forbes hasn't been great. That screams another 125-yard game from A.J. Brown. And I kind of think this is a little bit of a Dante Smith, I guess, get back on track to what you saw week one kind of game. I think he can really burn down the sideline on this Washington defense. And Dallas Goedert's involved in the offense now, which is awesome. So there's weapons all over the place for Jalen Hurts. I don't think he really needs to run much in this game. I think that offensive line should be fine enough to hold off that Washington pass rush. But I'm with Jalen Hurts one.
I do think Philadelphia does destroy these guys. Rematch already. This is the second time they played them this season. If you remember the first week that they played them, I think it was week 2. It went to overtime. It was a game that just shouldn't have been there. It was honestly like Sam Howell out. But yeah, so I think Philadelphia rights that wrong, takes care of business. At Washington, I think it's a game they may rack up 8+ sacks. I think they really sort of make a statement, and maybe Ron Rivera's seat gets a little hot after that game. Hotter, maybe. Stoof is really serenading us here in the chat. If I traded it all, if I gave it all away for one thing, just for one thing, words to live by.
That's like a Panic at the Disco lyric.
I mean, I don't even know who sings it. It is a song lyric. I can't remember who it is. I can hear it in my head. It sounds like 20 singers. I can't remember. Justin said if you can get the guy to add Javonte Williams, he would do the Adams and Taylor side. I think absolutely.
Yeah.
Like if you can get, for Dynasty especially, if you can get someone like him, huge. Blake asked that question before on the 2 quarterback. This is the 8 team. He's got Bijan, Hall, Pacheco, Montgomery, Kamara. Receivers are Metcalf, Addison, Devontae Smith, Waddle, Puka, Palmer. I mean, if you can get a wide receiver upgrade to come back to you, that would be nice, because I think that's certainly your next area to improve.
Yeah, get a stud receiver.
Yeah. With 6 quarterbacks in a 2 quarterback league, you should be able to make something happen.
Yeah. Someone's got to be quarterback needy.
Mm-hmm. Do we like Carr to fill in for Purdy in concussion protocol? Hurting today. I think Carr is actually a pretty good fill-in. I just wrote about him in the quarterback streamers article, actually, on Flurry Sports. He is a guy that I don't think has any league winning upside. I don't think he's going to have a huge performance, but I think he's pretty safe.
He's not going to lose you a week.
No. Last 3 weeks for him, he's had 16, 17, and 18 fantasy points. So obviously he's going to have 19 this week. Why would the pattern break now? But he plays what? The Colts? Am I right about that? Yeah.
I believe you are.
Colts secondary doesn't really scare me. So I think he's going to have a lot of yards. I think he's going to be pretty efficient. And then we're just hoping he somehow throws a touchdown.
Yep. Yeah, Colts feel like a team, too, that Kamara can grab on and go against, too.
Agreed. But check out that the quarterback streamers article on Flurry Sports that I wrote for 2 other guys. I wrote about Howell, and I wrote about who's the deep sleeper. Mac Jones. I like Mac Jones this week as well. So take a look to see if any of them are available. You can look at my rankings, obviously, and just see who's ranked the highest out of the available people. But if Carr is available, I certainly think you're doing okay. You're not going to be like, I literally have Carr ranked 1 spot below Purdy, and that is if Purdy plays. So not a big deal. What is Stoof doing? He made nuggies before Lombardi sweep last week. By the time he came back, we were done. How long does it take you? I mean, we were on for like 40 minutes, weren't we?
Yeah, I think so.
I mean, did you burn those nuggies? What are you doing, Stu?
Do you ever make chicken nuggets?
Yeah.
Do you do like an array of sauces? Because I do.
Oh yeah. I got a
mustard, buffalo sauce, barbecue sauce, ranch, all over the place.
Yeah, I got a. It's an event.
Right.
Chicken nuggets are an event. You gotta mix it up.
A flight of sauce is what I call it.
Stu got fancy with the air fryer. Love to see it. Caden Would we move Howell and AJ Brown? The fuck's my dog doing up there? Howell and AJ Brown for Tua and Waddle, super flex. That's tough.
I think I want AJ Brown.
That's kind of where I'm at. Like, what's your thoughts on Jalen Waddle? I just don't want to touch him.
No, not on him. Like, I guess, Devon Achane's not playing right now, but I guess when Devon Achane's there, Waddle's almost like the fourth option on the team. He's like a third option right now, but it's kind of a weird third option because Tyreek Hill gets so much work and Raheem Mostert both get so much work. Like, I think if you have Waddle, you're just hoping for a touchdown, which just hasn't really happened this year. And so it's really hard for me to give up an AJ Brown who's had, well, like I said before, has 125 yards in how many straight games,
And on top of that, not that I think this is going to happen, but let's just say Tua gets hurt.
Right.
Then Waddle gets worse as well. You would think, not that he can go much further down than where he's at the current moment. His team, though, is Trevor Lawrence, Saquon Gibbs, AJ Brown, Garrett Wilson, Zay Flowers, Pitts, Mixon, Howell. I don't think your team gets better.
It gets worse at the receiver position for sure.
Right.
And I think like Garrett Wilson and Zay Flowers are both they're not, boom bust guys, but they're kind of like safe boom bust guys where, it's really hard for them to get 20 every given week like AJ Brown will. And I think I'd throw Jalen Waddle in that tier as well.
I agree with that. Yeah, I'm not trading for Jalen Waddle right now. I could be proved wrong, but I've been hands off of him this long, and I haven't seen anything to make me think it's a buy low situation.
Yeah. Also, I mean, it's another thing. People love stacks in fantasy football, which I understand, but if that team has a bad week, you're totally fucked in that week. And we've seen the Dolphins have a bad week. 2 out of the last 4 weeks or 2 out of the last 3 weeks, whatever it is now.
Between this show and the waiver wire show I do earlier in the week, I've had more questions about season-long stacks this year than any other year. Like, I feel like somebody out there must have said that a stack is good for season long because everyone's like talking about like, do I need to do the stack? A million questions about it. And I put no value on stacks in season long. There's no reason.
No, I agree.
It makes no sense. It's a best ball thing and it's a DFS thing. It's not a season long thing. Josh, would we trade Carr and Aaron Jones for Gibbs and Josh Palmer? 20-man PPR. Guy I'm trading with has Anthony Richardson and Dobbs, so he's panicking. Yeah, I would, I think.
Yeah, given you're fine at quarterback. Yeah, totally.
Yeah, assuming you're not fucked. But yeah. Yeah, I mean, 2 Packer fans here, 2 people who cover the Packers very extensively. Any optimism on Aaron Jones going forward?
No, I think now, like you should get rid of Aaron Jones. Like Aaron Jones is not going to win you a fantasy championship this year.
I agree, and I think there's going to be more big performances from him coming. I think it's going to be tough to predict, and when he doesn't have I think he's super boom or bust. Yeah, like when he's feeling good, they're going to feed him. Mm-hmm. But we're going to get a lot of games like last week.
And the week before.
Yeah. Kane's looking to upgrade quarterback 2 for sure. Get that. Claypool better than Waddle rest of season. Maybe. Did Claypool even see the field last week?
Yeah, I think like a play or two. I saw him running off the field once, and I think I made that comment like, how the fuck is Chase Claypool on the field right now? But did I see the stat that he's like 0-15 in his last 15 games or something?
I mean, that's very possible. That's I'm sure. Yeah, I guarantee that's true. Let's just see how many snaps he got, just because I'm interested. 4, and one of them was a passing play, so that's cool.
Yeah,
he might be better than Waddle. Caden, I moved Evans and Cook for Saquon after big games this week. I don't hate that.
I don't hate it either.
Josh, I wouldn't have a backup quarterback. So that 20 team question before trading away Carr, he wouldn't have a backup quarterback. That's tough.
What? Yeah, because Denver has. I mean, he has Russell Wilson. Denver hasn't been on their bye yet, and I can't imagine in a 20-team league there's many quarterbacks on waiver wire.
And there's certainly a situation where Russell Wilson gets a little banged up at the end of the year, and they just sit him.
Yeah, especially if they're down. If they're not have no chance of playoffs or anything.
Right. Or I mean, if he's been playing pretty well, but if he starts playing bad, Sean Payton's not gonna be a
Right.
guy to shy away from just pulling the plug and being like, okay, you're benched.
Agreed.
He gives no shits. Yeah. So I wouldn't do that trade in that situation. You need to have a backup in a 20 team league.
Josh,
Yeah.
if there's any on waiver wire, let us know. That you can
Right.
easily
I
pick up.
can't imagine there is though.
No. Like what if there's what if there's like a Mac Jones sitting out there?
20 team. I mean, if he is out there, then I'm totally cool with it.
Yeah.
I was thinking maybe the Titans guys, maybe Levis, Willis are out there. We don't know what's going to happen. Yeah, none. That's not surprising.
Yeah. So Josh,
Yeah.
I say you let him panic about quarterback, and you don't panic about quarterback.
Yeah. The only way I'm selling my backup is if they overpay pretty dramatically, and I don't think they overpaid enough there.
Agreed.
Okay, so
higher and lower.
Notable quarterbacks, I suppose, really quick. I have Howell at 11 this week. I like him against Philly. I have Mac Jones at 19. I think that's going to end up being quite a bit higher. And I don't know how to rank the Tennessee guys at this current moment.
Yeah.
It sounds like we could see a combination of both Willis and Levis, which is super annoying.
You're not concerned about the offensive line issues in Washington this week against that good Philly defensive line?
Very, but Sam Howell was sacked 5 times the first time they played him, and he was really good.
True.
He's been thrown. He's on pace to set a new record for most sacked quarterback, I think by a lot.
Yeah.
I am 6 spots higher on him at 11. I'm 6 spots higher on Derek Carr at 15. 6 higher on Mac Jones at 19. 7 higher on Zach Wilson at 22. 5 higher on PJ Walker at the current moment. He is starting this week. Deshaun Watson officially ruled out, which is insane.
Hey,
insane.
Browns are 2-0 in games PJ Walker's played this year.
I know. I mean, whatever. It's so stupid. I'm 6 lower on Bryce Young at 25. So people are pretty optimistic about him. And I'm 4 lower on Baker at 28. He plays tomorrow night. He's playing hurt. And I'm just kind of avoiding him.
Yeah, I think with Bryce Young too, I think people still are saying like the Texans are not a good football team, which, they're not a great football team, but that defense has been playing well this year.
Yeah, and I mean, you have to credit the coaching for that, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if we're crediting the coaching for that, they're coming off of a bye week. I assume they have more answers with an extra week of preparation this week. So,
yep.
Yeah, I imagine they send a lot of pressure at another rookie quarterback, obviously, against Bryce Young. And, we'll see how he responds. He hasn't responded super well this year, so don't love it. Any other quarterbacks you want to talk about before we go to the chat quick?
Go to the chat.
Cool. Keep sending questions. We appreciate it. Caden, also from his last question. I had Anthony Richardson. Obviously, he went down. I was probably the favorite to win before that. League is a keeper league, though. That's interesting. So I'm going to have to come back with Richardson, A.J. Brown, Gibbs, and Wilson, Saquon, or Zay next year. I mean, that's good.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if it's a question, but if you're just saying you're going to have to keep those guys for next year, I think that's great.
Yeah, it's a great start.
Yeah.
Yeah, Garrett Wilson will be much better next year. I think Gibbs will be much better next year. I think
Anthony Richardson was a stud this year.
Yeah.
He just got hurt.
Yep.
And I hope it's not a pattern.
Caden also asked if he should still be stashing Roshan. I think that's a great question.
Yeah. I mean, we'll get into him right now. I'll tell you where I have him ranked. I'll do that before the top 5. I have Roshan ranked this week. Where the fuck is he? 34. And I'm probably going to rise him a little bit more. But I think Deontay Foreman's done enough to warrant getting, 12 plus carries. So prior to him breaking out a little bit here, I think it would have been more of a Roshan Johnson heavy backfield. I think it's going to be a pretty close to a 50-50 split between the two.
I think so as well. I think the Bears are looking for a reason to use Roshan.
for sure. And he is a stud. He's very good. So, I mean, if Deontay Foreman's having success right now, I think Roschon can have success running the football, and he's clearly a better receiver. So,
yeah,
he could be good. Only issues, there's a guy in my league. His keepers are Herbert, Hurts, Jefferson, Bijan. I mean, that's great, but nothing you can do about that. Right. Debating dropping Deontay Foreman for Logan Thomas. I don't think I'd drop Deontay.
No. Trade Deontay. You're going to get rid of him.
Exactly. Especially in a 20 team. Like, he's start worthy, obviously. So someone will want him.
Yep.
Matthew Marks, would we start Najee or Javonte this week? I have Najee ranked.
Good to see him get in the end zone.
It is. And honestly, the Steelers did more stuff this week, which is good.
Mm-hmm.
They actually looked competent. I have Najee at 31, though, and Javonte at 25. I prefer Javonte still.
Agreed.
So let's talk about top 5.
Yeah, let's do it.
What were we going to say?
No, I'm good.
Okay. Christian McCaffrey 1 versus, Bengals, kind of a lock. I have ETN number 2 at the Steelers. Eckler, I think he'll finally have his legs under him a little bit here versus the Bears. I have him at 3. Then I have Breece Hall 4 at the Giants. And then 5 was weird. I put Tony Pollard in there versus the Rams off of their bye week. They know they have to get Tony Pollard more involved. So optimistic for him and CeeDee Lamb, but we'll see. What do you think of those 5?
What's interesting with the Jags have looked, good these last couple of weeks, right? And that's on the back of ETN running the ball. So, it's very obvious for that the Jags offense is now just centers around Travis Etienne, which sucks for Trevor Lawrence owners because I know a lot of people who drafted Trevor Lawrence much higher than he should have been drafted this year. I'm awesome with Etienne. I think, of course, it's hard to say anyone finishes higher than McCaffrey, but I think Etienne just his role in this offense. How can you not rank him top 2, top 3, top 4,
I mean, he is in a similar boat in terms of how we talked about him, I think, as Ken Walker. Obviously, we're higher on ETN, but both of those guys somehow are finding the end zone right now. And
they're both staying healthy too.
Yeah, that's true. They're kind of the 2 healthiest running backs right now.
Right.
Honestly. Yeah. So I don't know. Right now you got to ride the hot hand. I have Walker at 8 as well. Yeah. And they both have rookies behind them that were supposed to be the hammer at the goal line. They just haven't done that. So
I would safe. I would guess, after the season when those stats always come out about like the most players on championship teams, I would guess Travis Etienne is going to be on a lot this year.
Yeah. Yeah, I would say so. For sure. Caden has a funny story. He had Deontay Foreman starting until 1:58 right before the game. I'm sitting at Lucas Oil, remembering that my Colts had the worst secondary in the league, so I started Elijah Moore instead. Lost by 3.
Tough.
That sucks. And I'm sure you felt super happy about Deshaun Watson going out as well. And they didn't even try to really throw the ball after that.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Cooper didn't even have a catch until the 4th quarter, which was insane. Stoof, 12-team, super flex, PPR. I hit the trade limit. That sucks.
Get rid of trade limit.
Yeah, that's bad. So my starters rest of season are Mahomes, Eckler, Ramondre, Jamar, Jacoby, Drake London, Hawkinson, flexes, Rashid Shaheed. Quarterback 2 is Pickett or Garoppolo. Do I have what it takes? Does I gets the bag? He asks. I think it's a good team.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't love Shaheed a flex in a 12 team, but like you have star power to carry you there.
Right. And there's going to be people that pop up, I think, but Eckler is going to be better. I think Ramondre is starting to come along a little bit. That running game in New England is starting to come alive a little bit. And I think your receivers are good enough. Like Jacoby's kind of under the radar, and Drake London is steady as well. So comes down to health. Yeah, I think you're good though. Rank these players for a flex. Oh no, something just popped up on my screen. Okay. PPR, Swift, Puka, Thielen, and Jonathan Taylor. Never seen someone say
there's
John Taylor for
Taylor.
something.
You're right.
8-man. So
Like,
flex.
it's hard to not say Puka at 1 at this point, right?
I think his role is more indicative of 2 weeks ago, not last week.
Sure.
So for me, my number 1 would be Swift, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, my personal ranking, I think, would be Swift, Puka, Taylor, Thielen.
Yep.
People love Thielen. And we loved Thielen prior to the season. Obviously, a lot of bets there. I mean, that touchdown streak's crazy. He's been insane.
He's been the only good player in the Panthers.
Yeah, legitimately. I don't think they're going to do it, but it would be funny if they traded him out of there before the deadline, because people are going to be calling for him. Obviously,
so.
Why wouldn't they? I mean, if the Vikings beat the Packers this week, why wouldn't they call for Thielen to come back?
Right.
Just, get another receiver in there until
he's not
Jefferson comes back.
Yeah, he's not open, especially with Addison getting banged up a little bit last week too.
For sure. Yeah, there's going to be several teams needing a receiver. I know Terrace Marshall wants to get traded out of there. We shall see. Other notable running backs, we'll have to see about David Montgomery, what happens there.
If he's playing, he has to be started, right?
Yeah. So Jahmyr Gibbs, obviously, his owners were rewarded super well last week. He finally found the end zone. 11 carries. He had 10 targets. Montgomery comes back. Montgomery is the RB1.
Yeah. And I'm wondering if Gibbs' week last week is just the product of them playing from behind all game.
Yes. I mean, the 10 targets for sure.
Yeah.
There's no doubt about it. So there's a chance he did something to impress the coaches, and they're more willing to give him an expanded workload. There's a chance for that.
Right.
But yeah, I'm not saying now, after last week, now he's a lock and load RB1. There's no chance.
Agreed.
Aaron Jones, I have at 18. What's your thoughts about that? Because it feels like a game he could come alive for.
Yeah, we haven't seen an Aaron Jones game yet this year. I guess other than the first game, but that that was on the back of receiving yards.
Yeah.
I don't think it's out of the. I know how bad they've looked the last couple of years, and maybe it's the fan of me talking. I don't think it's that crazy to say that Green Bay is at least in this game and has a chance to win this game against the Vikings. I think the Vikings are actually in a letdown spot here. And of course for that to happen, it has to be on the back of Aaron Jones, because, and we'll talk about next show, but for whatever reason, the Packers just don't throw passes over the middle of the field. So that middle of the field has to get exposed by the running game, and that's going to be Aaron Jones. I understand if you play Aaron Jones, and I understand if you don't play Aaron Jones, but I think I'm on the back of playing Aaron Jones. If he's healthy, he's going to get the goal line carries. He's going to get the work. And you don't want to go, you don't want to lose a game by 9 points because you didn't start Aaron Jones, because that feels like a really obvious decision to always start Aaron Jones when he plays, right?
Yeah. And just watching last week, I thought, his stats don't look good. Obviously didn't touch the ball much. I thought he looked good last week.
Yeah.
Offensive line certainly didn't do him any favors. Play calling is a different box we don't even need to open right now. But I think his hamstring looks good. His start stop was insane. I think he's fine. So with that in mind, I think the health stuff is behind him. I think he's limited today. I think that's more precautionary stuff, especially given the health of everybody else on that team right now. But yeah, I guess he's an RB2 low end this week, but probably more of a flex. I don't know. Truly boom or bust.
Yep. Yeah, it'll pay off if he finds the end zone. If not, who really knows?
Yeah. Love him for DFS though, because it does feel like a spot where he could have 3 touchdowns. Really does. People love Gus Edwards this week. People are just finding out about Gus Edwards last week after we've talked about him for a couple of years now, and that's fun. I'm way lower on him than the consensus. I know I am. Only 4 spots, I guess. He had an 80-yard touchdown catch last week.
Was it a touchdown? I think it was just a catch.
Oh, yeah. It was just a catch. 80 yards, and he didn't score, right?
Yeah, 1 reception for 80 yards.
I mean, that's Gus Edwards. I mean, it is what it is. He's going to be between 50 and 70 rushing yards. Probably won't find the end zone. That's Gus Edwards.
Yep.
So he's a flex. He's fine. Comparing to the consensus, I suppose, and then if you have any running backs you want to talk about, we can do so. I have Derrick Henry at 12, which is 4 spots higher. I have Darrell Henderson at 21, which is 8 spots higher. People are just avoiding him after
He's
last
obviously
week.
the guy for the Rams. It's not Royce Freeman.
No, not at all. So I'm not sure why people are hesitant to rank him. I'm not sure. I have Jamal Williams at 48, which is 5 spots higher. I think he's going to start seeing his carries ramp up now. And I have Charbonnet at 55, which is 5 higher. That's whatever. I'm 4 lower on Pacheco at 11, 4 lower on Gibbs at 14, 4 lower on Rashad White tomorrow night at 26, and then 4 lower on Gus Edwards at 29. Do any of those names stick out to you?
I mean, not really, but I have one that I do want to talk about.
Okay.
Do you have any strong thoughts on Alexander Mattison this week?
I think he's fine. I do think it's a true split now with him and Cam Akers.
Yeah.
Which is why, where do I have him? 22. So, I mean, he's an RB2. I think he has success this week. It just comes down to how many of those touches is he seeing? Do they give it to Cam Akers when they're down by the goal line? We don't know. So, sort of hedging my bets a little bit. But, yeah, I think he's a solid RB2 going forward most weeks anyways. And then the matchup this week obviously doesn't hurt.
Yeah, okay.
But he's also... I mean, how many catches did he have last week? I think he's going to be pretty involved catching the ball. 3 targets last week, 7 targets the week before. We know how Green Bay's linebackers cover running backs, obviously. So I think that's the spot where both him and Akers could do a decent amount of damage.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's see. Dalvin Cook, if he's out there on waivers, I think you should add him. I think there's a pretty fair chance he gets traded at the deadline.
Yep.
And anyone who trades for him wants him, so he's going to see touches. So I love that. And that's about it. I think Bijan's fine. Lock him in after last week.
Yeah.
It was just Arthur Smith caring for him, you know?
Shout out to the NFL, too, for watching out for our fantasy teams.
Yes, 100%. Isaac, should I trade Rashee Rice for Achane? I don't hate it. I don't love Achane, but I don't love Rashee Rice.
The only argument for Rashee Rice, like obviously Devon Achane, he's not going to have 200 yards and 4 touchdowns again. He's not going to have 180 yards in 3 or whatever he's been doing. I mean he'll be involved in the offense, but I mean Rashee Rice is the second most targeted receiver on Kansas City right now behind Kelsey.
Yeah, for sure. The question is, do you think that's consistent? Do you think that stays with Rice?
I'm with you. It's a mystery, and so maybe thinking here, like Achane is kind of less of a mystery than Rice is to me.
For sure, like Achane, like there's certainly a chance Mostert and Jeff Wilson get hurt again,
right?
And then he's great. I mean, that's kind of the situation you're in. If, MVS goes down, Mecole Hardman goes down, does that make Rashee Rice more valuable? Not really.
Right.
So, I mean, it's just positional need for me, that trade. If you need a running back, I like it. If you don't need a running back, I'd stick with Rice, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm with it.
Close. Randy Miller trade in my league just happened. Team 1 gives Jacoby Njoku, Kincaid for CeeDee Lamb, Logan Thomas. Which side won?
I don't like either of those sides, to be honest.
I mean, Kincaid obviously sees an upgrade now that Dawson Knox is out. But I think I'd prefer the CeeDee Lamb side just because I get CeeDee Lamb.
Right. Yeah. Yep, I agree.
I don't think it's a lopsided trade though.
No.
Isaac has good wide receiver depth, so I don't think Rashee could start for me in that case. Then go for A-Chain.
Yep. If you're never going to start him, because you will start A-Chain.
Yeah. Any other running back stuff you want to talk about?
Let's do receivers.
Okay. Top 5 wide receivers: Tyreek Hill 1 versus the Patriots. Stephon Diggs 2 tomorrow night versus the Bucks. AJ Brown 3 at Washington. Cooper Kupp 4 at Dallas. And Keenan Allen 5 versus the Bears. What do you think of those?
I love them all. They're all target hogs, and that's exactly what you need to win fantasy football. I think Stephon Diggs tomorrow night. I think that'll be a fun one to watch. Usually, it feels like Josh Allen and Stephon Diggs kind of produce in when a standalone game, everybody's watching them. So I love that this week. And Tyreek Hill, AJ Brown, they're fine. And Cooper Kupp will definitely have not a 2 catch for 29-yard game again. He's too good of a player to not be at least 15 targets a game.
Yeah. Last week just feels like a fluke.
Yeah.
I sure as hell hope it is, because I can't remember where it was. I bet the over on his receptions for the next 5 weeks or something. Mm-hmm. And it seems super easy, and then he gets a 2. So yep. We shall see what happens there. I think he's fine.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if Stafford came back and Kupp, gave Kupp 20, targets, and Kupp ends up with 14, 15 receptions this game.
Yeah, for sure. And obviously those two are close, podcast co-hosts, they're friends off the field. So definitely something there. And the more Puka Nacua produces, the more defenses have to respect him. And if the defenses have to respect him, Kupp's going to destroy. So I like that. I have Thielen at 11. I think he's a very obvious start. If you have Adam Thielen, you drafted him pretty late or you picked him up, and I think he should be in your starting lineup, obviously.
Yeah, I think you have to start him.
Yeah. Anybody else notable? I have T. Higgins at 32. What's your thoughts on T. Higgins going forward? Obviously, tough matchup against the 49ers, but just going forward.
It's certainly a tough matchup against the 49ers. Going forward, the injury kind of scares me off. It feels like and maybe it's my bias toward Jamar Chase, but Jamar Chase is a guy for the Bengals to win games. Jamar Chase has been involved. And I don't see why that doesn't continue. The Bengals are doing the same exact thing they did last year and just giving him the ball more. And it comes back to the point, it's crazy what happens when you give the best players on your team the ball. You win games. So I think T. Higgins is not necessarily even a wide receiver too. I don't know how comfortable I am starting him at flex going forward, right?
Yeah, it's tough. What's his schedule, I suppose? I believe in him, but I'm not. Yeah, he's had 1 game over 21 yards this year, which is insane. I think he gets better. San Francisco, then he's got Buffalo, Houston, Baltimore, Pittsburgh, Jacksonville, Indy. So schedule gets a little bit easier. Obviously, he's in a contract year, so he would like to fall out a little bit. His confidence just seems shook.
Agreed.
That's the kind of thing, and I thought about this for the Packers show after this, but you get all these super young studs on your team. We talked about the Bengals Super Bowl team a couple years ago. Stoof is wailing in the chat a little bit. But that Bengals team, we talked about it, they just didn't know how to lose. They didn't know anything other than winning. They were super naive. They came from colleges where they were studs, and now they lost for the first time. T. Higgins killed a guy. We don't even that's a true thing. He's a murderer, but he just came back to life. You know what I mean? So his confidence is shook, and not everybody bounces back from losing for the first time, from getting your confidence crushed for the first time. Joe Burrow, I think, is in a breed of his own. I think Jamar Chase, he's as confident as ever, I feel like. So I think he's fine, but T. Higgins maybe not. Maybe he doesn't bounce back. There's people who just don't bounce back. So will he return to the T. Higgins of old? I don't know.
It's hard to predict that he will, in my mind.
It really is. It really is. Mr. Discount, thank you for coming back.
Discount double check.
Trade Rashee Rice and Jamal Williams for George Pickens and Delvin Cook. Yes. Heartbeat. Is Devontae Smith a hold? I think yes.
I think you have to hold him.
Yeah. Is Gibbs a sell high? I also think yes.
Yes.
He's going to be hard to sell after this week. Week 9 buy. The money returns week 10. Agreed.
Yep.
Agreed. That's the thing. Like, people talk about how you should sell a player after they have a good week, or you sell a player when their value is about to go down. The best time to sell a player is when they still have value left, but it's going to go down a little bit later. You know, reaching the apex of the hill, you don't want to sell them when you're on the very top and the only place to go is down. Give them a little hope. You know what I mean? Give them another week. So yeah, I think it is time to sell him if you can. But again, not a must sell. I think he has value rest of season.
Yep. Yeah, only sell him if you're getting something good.
For sure. Might as well put this up here. Stoof misses Trevor's boyish good looks. And Rockin' Bod. I mean, is Stoof secretly Amaranth in the chat? We don't know. We don't know. Full circle moment.
I got to throw a shout out real quick.
Go for it.
Cam Thomas has 24 points on 73% shooting at halftime. This dude is going for 50.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, I hope so.
Yeah.
He's a stud. I love him. Just comparing to the consensus, I have Gabe Davis at 33, which is 7 higher. It just feels like a Gabe Davis spot for me, so I'm just doing a gut call.
Like it.
Michael Thomas, 38, which is 4 higher. Curtis Samuel, I have at 43. That's 4 higher. I have Jawan Jennings at 52, which is 21 spots higher than the consensus. Debo's out.
Right.
So, I don't know. Robert Woods, I have at 73. That's not very optimistic. That's 15 spots higher. Once again, don't know. Couple others like that. It's just weird. I'm 4 lower on Chris Olave at 19, 6 lower on Calvin Ridley at 35, 4 lower on Josh Palmer at 41, and that's about it. What?
Are we totally off the Calvin Ridley?
I think he's a mid to low end wide receiver too, rest of way.
Yeah. Okay. I don't disagree with that. I'm just thinking right now, it's really hard for me to think I want to start Calvin Ridley this week.
Yeah, this week especially a little weird. His role is just, I don't know.
It feels like his role is just burn and open up the middle of the field.
Right. They did some stuff for a few weeks where they needed to get him the ball to get going. They gave it to him on a couple end arounds and stuff like that, and then started throwing to him a little bit more. There's the spot against the Bills was pretty obvious that they were going to use him, but now rest of way, it's just easier to throw it to the wide open Christian Kirk in the middle of the field than try to force it to Calvin Ridley.
Mm-hmm.
Cam Thomas plays as much defense as the Chargers. Doesn't matter. Just got to outscore them.
Yeah, you know what they say, a good defense is a great offense, or whatever, however the opposite of the other saying is.
That's right. That's right. You don't win based on block shots, stop possessions. Doesn't matter. Just score.
Yep.
Tight ends here. Not a surprise. Travis Kelce 1 at Denver. He should kill him. Mark Andrews 2 at the Cardinals. TJ Hawkinson 3 at the Packers. Sam Laporta 4 versus the Raiders. And Dallas Goedert at 5 at Washington. Anybody stand out there?
I'm just going to say it again. It's nice to see Dallas Goedert finally involved in the offense. Open up that middle of the field, and I think that plays very complimentary to A.J. Brown on those deep posts and go routes.
It was weird how quiet he was to start the year. He just felt like one of the safest tight end options in the draft, and then he did nothing.
Yep.
It was weird. Darren Waller, I have at 6 for whatever it's worth. The Jets are super good against the pass, but they are a little bit susceptible versus tight ends, I should say. So as long as the Giants just don't split Darren Waller out, I think he should be pretty good, regardless of who's at quarterback. He's been a lot better. I think George Kittle at 7's a little controversial, and I still want to put him even lower, I think. I think if you have him, you're playing him, but he's not a top tier tight end.
I mean, we've been saying it for how many years now? It's just not a top 3 option in the offense.
Agreed. And that's even with Debo out. So that's saying something. I have Kincaid at 9. Obviously, Knox is out for the foreseeable future, wrist surgery. So I assume he goes on IR if he's not on IR already. And Kincaid, big game last week, can operate as an actual tight end now, where he is an actual mismatch. He is not Travis Kelce, unlike what some reporters said earlier in the year, but he can be a mismatch when he's on a linebacker or a safety. Logan Thomas, I have at 11. I like him this week. I have Michael Mayer at 17. I might move him up a little bit, but he plays Detroit. I like him as well.
Yeah, he's involved now.
Yes. I think Tyler Higbee, we haven't really talked about this much this year. I think Tyler Higbee's fully droppable.
Yeah. I think you're right.
We haven't really talked about players who can be droppable. I think he's fully droppable. Trey McBride, I have at 21. Zach Ertz on IR, so he's going to operate as the tight end 1 now, which is good.
Yep. Especially when Murray comes back.
Yes. Have you heard anything about... I haven't really heard much about Luke Musgrave. I know he hurt his ankle. I believe he's in a boot. I haven't heard much about practice stuff this week other than he's been limited. But
I don't think he practiced today. I'll look that up quick.
I think there's a pretty fair chance he misses the game.
Agreed.
For, which I feel like has been pretty quiet, but I think that's true. Stoof, a good deep fish is a bad omelet. I don't get it.
Sounds right.
It sounds great. I mean, I fully agree, even though I'm not sure what you mean.
Yeah, Musgrave missed practice today.
Okay. I assume Watson did as well. If you have that info.
I can get it.
Okay. Really quick, though. Lolly has a question over on Twitch. Would you trade away Gibbs for Michael Pittman and Tank Dell? My wide receivers are bad, and his running backs are Josh Jacobs, Brian Robinson, and Javonte Williams.
I think you can get a little bit more for Gibbs, to be honest.
It's kind of my thoughts as well. I mean, I think you can get more regardless, but if your wide receivers are so bad that Pittman and Dell are both starters for you, then, then I don't hate it. But
yeah. See if you can
probably can upgrade better. Yeah, for sure.
Watson was full participant today.
Really? God, that dude's such a bitch.
He looked like he was in pain.
he was dying out there.
Right.
Fucking broke a nail or something. Fuck that dude. Whatever. Okay. So, I mean, he's playing this week then. Okay. Whatever. I guess comparing tight ends here to the consensus, I'm 4 higher on Conklin at 20.
Would you drop Higbee for someone like Conklin?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes,
agreed.
I would. Yeah, I'm 5 lower on Taysom Hill at 18. The consensus has Taysom Hill at 13.
He just found the end zone last week.
Well, he's caught passes the past couple of weeks, but why are we acting like we're confident that his role is going to stay as an actual tight end?
I also don't think Juwan Johnson is out of this offense. He's just been hurt the last couple of weeks.
Yeah. It makes no sense to me. But yeah, so he had 4 catches last week, 7 catches the week before, and then 4 catches the rest of the season combined. So
yeah.
I don't believe this high usage role continues, but maybe I'm wrong. I don't think I am, though. The trainers could fix it, but they refuse to touch him. For Christian Watson, I'm guessing?
Yes.
Yeah, probably. Green Bay, good trainers. So shout out to them. I definitely like them. Oh, shit, we got a big one here. Didn't scroll down for me.
Oh, just
okay. Oh, it is?
Yep.
Shout out. Aggravated recheck. He got me. Deshaun Watson.
Okay.
Screw Deshaun Watson. That situation makes me so angry.
Yep.
Oh, we're saying Christian Watson. Yeah, I mean, he had a concussion, cleared of concussion, no concussion symptoms. We held him out just for precautionary reasons. He will play next week. And then Tuesday or Wednesday. I think he was ruled out today. So Wednesday, he's out.
Mm-hmm.
That suggests he's not close.
Like might be out for the year.
Yeah, maybe. And he was looking pretty good the last time he actually played.
Right.
So I don't know. Just when I thought I couldn't dislike Deshaun Watson more, he's doing a good job. True, Stoof. I don't know. Anything else we want to talk about for fantasy this week before we go to Lombardi Sweep? Our next show, we'll end the stream. We'll come back in about 5 to 10 minutes.
I don't think so. Like you said, you like Mac Jones this week. Does that coincide with Hunter Henry?
They've been using a trio there, which is weird. Obviously, Gesicki is getting used a little bit. He caught a touchdown last week in revenge game as well. They also like Farrell Brown as a tight end now, a decent amount. I think also, Hunter Henry gets better than he's been the past few weeks, but I don't think he's going to be like how he started the year.
Agreed. Also, Kendrick Bourne is kind of a sneaky play right now. He's been very involved.
Yeah. Juju probably comes back this week. I don't know. Like there was so much better when he's not on the field.
Agreed.
I wonder if he gets traded at the deadline. Do you think he goes back to Kansas City too?
Yeah. I mean, I don't hate that.
I don't know who would want him, but
it feels like Juju ends up in like fucking Atlanta or something.
That could be interesting.
No impact on anybody.
Yeah. I mean, Rams sent Van Jefferson there to die.
Right. Sucks.
Just, yeah, no word from him. I could see Juju being with Miami maybe.
Sure.
That seems like a weird, annoying place for him to be. I don't know. I don't know who needs like a slot that isn't overly great. I don't know. But yeah, this was the Wednesday night ranking show here with Fantasy Football by Committee presented by Flurry Sports. For those watching live, thank you very much. We'll be back in like 5 to 10 minutes. Stoof, get those nuggies in the air fryer. Don't miss Lombardi Sweep. We talk about the Packers. It might be just Luke and I. It might be somebody else. We shall see. Be back in a second. Later.
Peace.